welcome to Pitch It To Me podcast, a show about the subjective past, present, and potential future of flesh and blood design. Today's episode will be honoring our tradition of trying to predict everything that the next set will entail. Alright listener, let me see your palm. Look right there. If you don't subscribe, you'll have 0 bitches, or 100 years bad luck, whichever sounds worse. On Red Pitch today, we'll talk about the heroes of the set. On Yellow Pitch, we'll discuss the new Mystic Talent. And on Blue Pitch, we'll envision a limited environment for part the Mistveil. Make sure you stick around for our Arsenal Zone. We'll give you our predictions for what we might see in the expansion slot. You can find us across all socials such as TikTok and Instagram at Pitch It To Me Podcast. I'm Clark.
I'm Joel.
And I'm Fuzzy.
When this episode releases, we will have closed our submissions for the custom card design contest that we've been running. Thank you to everyone who submitted a design. Our very next episode will be all about the design contest, who we selected, who were some of our favorites who maybe didn't get the top placement. It's going to be a lot of fun and a really great little community episode, so hopefully everyone will be able to chime in.
Yeah, and I think we want to do a live premiere, so you can hop into YouTube at the time that the video airs, and we can all comment on the designs together in real time. We're hoping we've never done that before, but we're going to branch into it for this one.
At the very least, we'll have 3 viewers. That's just us.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be at work. I'll still be in there, but I'll be at work.
Yeah. No, we could do it on like Tuesday evening.
Oh, yeah, we can do it in the evening. Yeah.
Why would we schedule it for the time when you're at work?
I don't know. That's normally when we do it. We release it at like 6 a.m. on a Tuesday.
True. We'll let you guys know, but most likely we're gonna try and do a premiere. See if people want to like talk about who we think will win.
Yeah. If someone wants to be chirping at us and our bad opinions, we'll be right there.
I welcome chirping. I welcome the challenge.
We haven't started looking at the designs formally yet, but we're really excited to delve into those. By the time you listen to this, we'll probably have already started. And again, just thank you to everyone who submitted a design. We've already got like at least 40, 50 designs submitted so far, right guys?
Easily. Maybe more, because it's been routing to do 2 different places.
Yeah, we haven't been counting.
Yeah.
But I saw a lot today on the Monday that we're recording, so...
That's very good, yeah.
Yeah, I even saw a couple designs today that like I was really excited to get in.
Yeah.
And one more shout out to Metal Fab Tokens and Fabrec.gg for sponsoring our contest. They're awesome resources for the Flesh and Blood community, whether you want really cool tokens that make you the coolest guy in the room, or you're looking for the right tech for your deck, or you're interested in really cool articles. Both of those websites are awesome, so you should check them out. And there are links to both of them at our website.
Fabrec just released another incredible article that I read and absolutely loved and found very insightful about the game. And Metal Fab Tokens just released some new tokens for some of the big keywords and heavy hitters.
Yep.
So, like, especially Intimidate. Like, as a Leviah player, I have so many face down zones going on, and I like to also set my hand face down. So once cards start getting intimidated out of my hand, it gets really messy to keep track of everything. And, like, they have a new Intimidate token. So, like, any cards I intimidate, I can just put that token right on top of them and be like, those are the Intimidate cards. There's no confusion, no need for anything to be weird.
Yeah.
They stay cooking over there.
Yeah, it's nice.
I love how they make tokens for things that you didn't really know you needed a token for. And you're like, that would make my life so much easier.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, now I don't know how I've lived this long without this particular token, is what it feels like.
Yeah. And I've been using Fabrec articles to be getting into Commoner. I've been reading their Commoner articles and like their budget articles, and that's been helping a lot.
So Joel, what's this episode about?
So we are getting into the nitty-gritty of Part the Mistveil. We've already seen 3 of the heroes, so what we're going to do is we're basically going to go through everything that we know currently, and we're going to speculate to no fucking end about all the what everything could be, because there's still a lot to be explored, and we've gotten a few little nuggets, I believe, yesterday on Sunday.
Yes.
Which opens a whole new door
Yes.
possibility. So we're just going to get into everything. And I think we're going to start off with the heroes. Clark, would you take us through Red Pitch?
Totally. So let's go ahead and start on Red Pitch. I want to start by saying, yes, when Mistveil came out, we knew the 3 heroes that we were getting. Zen, Nu, and Enigma. Do you guys think there's going to be any more heroes?
Actually, yes.
That is
One of my predictions as well. I think they are printing other new heroes. I don't think they gave us all of them. So maybe we can start off very early with a prediction. So Joel, you and I both think there are going to be new heroes. Maybe do you want to take a stab at who one of the new heroes might be?
Oh, I didn't really have any for specific heroes, but I have two. So maybe if you have one, you can go first and I'll go twice.
Sure. Fuzzy, did you think are we getting just the 3?
Okay, well, I would like to go on the record. There are 3 draftable heroes in Part the Mistveil, no more, no less.
Zin, New, and Enigma. All right. I believe that they will print a Benji.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay.
I think they're going to print a Benji. I think it's going to be not very well supported, like how they did Olympia. I think they are looking to get the young only heroes out of here. I think we saw that with Kasai. We saw that with KO. I see no reason why they wouldn't continue that trend with Benji. But I don't think that they want to print a bunch of Benji support. I don't think they were expecting, like, I don't think the set is built around, like, lots of Benji stuff. So I think while they're going to print a Benji, he's going to be left underpowered. Very much imagine, like, Olympia situation, right?
Yeah, because he still has like 2 specializations he can still use and still be fine. Similar to Olympia.
I'm gonna keep moving forward here because I don't want to spend too much time on that.
Well, before we move on, I also want to jam in that I think they're going to print the 3 Tales of Arya 2.0 heroes in the expansion slot. That's all.
All 3 of them?
Yep, all 3.
All 3 of them. So you don't think they're returning to Arya to reprint those heroes?
They could, and they probably, because like if they're in the expansion slot, they'd be Majestic, and they might like create tokens in the next like Tales of Arya set. But I think because, you know, with the Berserk ban, we saw the iteration of like KO's like CC deck. So it was like, okay, that's why they banned Berserk, because they already made these cards. So if they did it with Crown of Seeds, they probably already made the next Earth Guardian.
Okay.
So that's what I'm basing it off of. I think we might just get 3. They'll use like the same card pool minus the specs, and then we'll get another set later to support them, similar to how they did Arachne.
Yeah, I think expansion slot hero makes a lot of sense.
Now, I have 2 predictions about how this expansion slot hero could show up. One is that it's not a full hero card. It's a demi-hero card.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a hero in an expansion slot. The demi-hero.
That'd be pretty
Interesting.
cool.
It would still be a hero card, right?
Would it be a specialization?
Almost certainly.
Do you think you'd like to predict who would get the spec?
No. I mean, sure, Vincent. Like, we were told that Vincent is going to be getting a card in the expansion slot. Like, we're even going to do something in the Arsenal zone about it. Stick around for it, listener. Okay. So now let's go ahead and get into probably the meat and potatoes of this section, the 3 heroes. So I think Ninja was the one class that everyone was looking at getting more support, and everyone kind of knew was coming up in this set. So I want to talk about Zen first. What do you guys think about Zen and Ninja in Part the Mistveil?
He looks fucking dope.
If you haven't heard before, Zen, Tamer of Purpose, there's an adult version and a young version. He has the regular 40 life, 20 life. As a once per turn instant, you can spend 3 chi, create a Crouching Tiger in your hand, search your deck for a card with combo, banish it, then shuffle. You may play it this turn. His ability, as someone who plays Katsu, right? His ability is basically Katsu, but instead of having to land a hit and discard a card, you instead have to pay 3 chi. So you also get a Crouching Tiger. Katsu's ability is already really strong to be able to pick whatever card you want to be in your hand. It's balanced by the fact that it can be blocked out. Like, people can stop you from using your hero ability if you can't land any hits with attack action cards. So the fact that you don't have to land a hit really has a lot of potential to be way stronger than Katsu.
Yeah.
He can run every card that Katsu can run, except for like Mugenshi Release and Lord of Wind. He can run the entire Bonds of Ancestry line, including Dishonor. He has access to, he can even run Surging Strike and Whelming Gust Wave.
Yeah.
It's really going to be interesting to see how hard it is to generate the chi, because Crouching Tigers on top of a Katsu ability, like, all even ratchets it up further, right?
Yeah. But I think, Fuzzy, what my real takeaway from what you were saying is
combo is going to be a big part of this hero still, and going to remain a very big part of Ninja moving forward. Joel, how do you feel about that?
I think it's weird because Fi doesn't have any combo in his kit whatsoever, so he's kind of like the lone ninja in that sense. So I'm curious to see how they, number one, continue with adding talents to Ninja, because I feel like because they haven't added a draconic ninja card for Fi in a really long time, and I'm wondering like how much support they're going to give this new ninja to be its own, like, because like you get a crouching tiger, but with Tiger Stripe Shuko, you can just turn it into like another Phoenix Flame. You don't really even have to go into the crouching tiger lines and just play more consistent Katsu. So it makes me a little worried because like if it's just like, and I'll talk about this more in the yellow pitch, but when your deck can just operate on blues and turn that into greater value through like reds and a crouching tiger, like a +1, it sets it up for a really, really insane talented ninja.
I'm going to jump in here, and I'm going to say that I think that Zen is going to be built in such a way that he isn't going to be built around Bonds of Ancestry. I think Bonds of Ancestry is a very powerful build-around card that has sort of dominated how ninjas are playing nowadays, and I'm not totally sure if LSS is completely happy with that. And I know for a fact the community isn't too happy with that, because Bonds feels very overpowered to play against. I think it is ultimately kind of fair, but if you have Tutor on a stick with Bonds of Ancestry, that's insane. Like, just being able to pull Bonds of Ancestry or the thing that leads into Bonds of Ancestry with 3 chi, like, is crazy. Or, like, to go fetch your Dishonor, I think it's just way, way, way too much. So, I think they're going to try to build him in such a way that pushes him away from Bonds of Ancestry. They're going to print a lot more Crouching Tiger synergy. Maybe even give a brand new combo line, right? Brand new starter, brand new everything.
Yeah, I think they're going to actually, well, this is my hope, that they dive into the leg tap line. Like, they add more combo cards for that line.
See, I think it's interesting. So I'm going to come down here and talk about weapons, because I have an idea for Zen's weapon. Zen isn't wielding little Kodachis, little daggers.
Okay.
He has a big fuck off glaive. I think this is going to be the first time that we see a two-handed ninja weapon. And I would not be surprised if his weapon was either the starter or a combo to go along with Crouching Tigers. And it's supposed to be built into his combo line. Have you guys seen the trailer?
No.
Okay.
Okay, I have seen the trailer. I don't remember it much.
In the trailer for Part the Mistveil, they have Nu and Enigma kind of as like these dueling ideologies of like hedonism and spiritualism. And Zen comes through all about the balance. And he's all about finding the balance and finding your chi.
Oh, he's Rayquaza.
A little bit. And you know what? I would not be surprised if he got a demi-hero card where he goes fully transcendent and he transforms and elevates to a higher state of being.
Into Zenyatta. Got
Yeah. Sure. You're just Mr. Pop Culture reference over there. That's not normally your role in this podcast.
Just throwing shit out there. Oh, man.
Yeah. So that is definitely some interesting things I see going on with Zen. I think...
I mean, hey, maybe all of them have demi-heroes. That's my prediction.
Oh, yeah. We did see a lot of Marvels.
Yeah.
In the product sheet. Actually, along with that, I'm going to jump now to Enigma, our illusionist. I'm very happy that we brought up the Marvels, because I think that Enigma will have allies. An instance that create allies.
Riptide players are so down tremendous.
Dude, they are so down tremendous. But this is how I think the allies will work. I think that they will eat the spectral shields that you have on the field, and that will become the ward amount on them. So if you have 5 spectral shields out, rather than 5 ward 1s, it will become 1 ward 5 on an ally.
That would be cool.
And it's scalable. So they could end up with like the ability to stop like one massive attack with their ally. And that's really, really strong. But at the same time, there's a trade-off there because they are losing the ability to like just cover a breakpoint here and there. Right? Any one damage, maybe one unblockable damage from, I don't know, a Riptide hero ability could just pop it because it's too big.
Yeah.
Well, allies wouldn't trigger Riptide's traps.
Ward would. I'm saying ward would be printed on them. They would take the ward from the spectral shields and put it on the ally.
Right, but Riptide's trap is if they attack with allies, it would not deal damage to the hero. The ability would not trigger.
They could still trigger traps on other things.
Sure, but if they're going,
That's kind of what I'm saying.
full allies, like it doesn't matter. That's the problem with allies.
I like this idea, and this would be really cool down the line. I don't think Enigma will have it because it says spectral shields cost 1 less in order to attack with. So
Who says that the ally isn't a spectral shield ally?
it's like a spectral shield ally with the same name as the
That's
spectral
gonna be
shield
a
tokens.
fat like descriptor on the bottom. It's like
They've done it before.
Spectral shield token ally illusionist aura.
Yeah, they've done it before.
When if they had multiple things with the same name?
Multiple things with the same name?
Yeah.
I'm just saying fat things at the bottom where like there's a lot of words down there.
Okay.
That's what I was referring to.
Although Vambrance of Determination might be kind of cracked this next set too.
Might be.
Oh yeah. Get your
Yeah, the
copies now.
inability to prevent a damage ending up triggering all the ward and destroying all of it could be.
At least an extra one, yeah.
Yeah. I also think that we know that Enigma is going to make a bunch of allies because of the Marvel count. There are so many Marvels. The only other time we've really seen that amount of Marvels is with Dromai and Prism in the sets where they printed a bunch of allies.
Oh, you're talking about total marvels in this set.
Yes.
Got it, got it.
There's so many Marvels in this set that I think like allies are just guaranteed to be a part of it. I also won't take credit for that prediction. While I do want the point for it, I will say that I got that idea from Zach Wallach, a local illusionist player here in SoCal.
Yeah.
I was chatting with him about the new set, and he mentioned how he's like really excited for Enigma being able to make allies. And I'm like, how do you know she's going to make allies? And he goes, well, there's so many Marvels. The only time we've seen that amount of Marvels in a set,
If there's a resident
it's-
illusionist player I would trust, it's probably Zach Wallach.
It's 18 Marvels.
it's a lot of
18
Marvels.
is so many.
You just need 9 of those to be allies. and you're
Exactly.
golden. Crazy.
Yeah. And then we still have enough for the demi heroes.
Yep. That's gonna be crazy. If any of this is even remotely on point.
What do you guys think about Enigma? What do you think Enigma will have?
I think she will probably have like a cracked version of Iris of Reality.
Oh, like maybe like an Illuminaris, but for spectral shields?
Yeah, and like instead of the activated ability of 3 resources, it'll be like 1, and each one you have is like pings for 1, like a balanced version of Luminaris, and give like, because like if you're spending a card to make 1 shield with chi, like it has to be pretty insane, right? Like you have to either build a lot of these spectral shields so that the ward 1 actually like means something. And like if they're just sitting there, they're either going to be allies like you said, Clark, or they're going to be used as like this big army, I feel. Or at least that would be more interesting than just like, oh yeah, now we have an Iris of Reality hero. I feel like that'd be pretty lame.
Could you repeat the stat line for that weapon? So I want to make sure I'm not repeating you.
Yeah, so I think she would get a new version of Iris of Reality, but it would be like Luminaris' ability. So like every aura would be like pay 1, attack for like 1 or something.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
And then if you were able to activate the chi, or no, it would...
So her hero ability says your first spectral shield attack
The first one costs
1 less, and then her ability is once per turn instant, you pay 3 chi or whatever and create a spectral shield with a +1 counter.
Yeah. I actually like that. I like how it costs 1 every single time, so you can get the first one for free, but then you do need to invest a card to go wider.
Right, because like both New and Zen seem to get a lot out of their abilities, and this is the only one where it's like there's so much more left in our kit that we don't know about that has to make it good, right?
I think the weapon is going to be like Iris for sure. It'll turn the spectral shields into weapons. I think it'll cost 2 to activate a spectral shield. The first one will cost 1. And that's pretty clean because you can pitch 1 blue to do your first attack and the second attack. And I think it's going to be 2 for 2.
In which case, let's go ahead and move on to the new hero. A wink, wink, wink. Yeah, I know I hate myself too. Anyhow, I think that New is a super interesting hero to play.
Do you want me to read the hero ability?
Yes.
New Alluring Desire. Again, 40 health for the adult version, 20 health for the young version, is a Mystic Assassin. Her hero text says, your attacks with stealth get, when this chain link resolves, banish all action cards defending this. So if they block your stealth cards with action cards, they'll get banished. As an instant, not once per turn, you can pay 3 chi to look at the top card of an opposing hero's deck. If it's blue, you may banish it. And, regardless, until end of turn, you may play blue cards from that hero's banish zone without paying their resource cost.
Yeah. So super, super cool, especially in Limited where we know there's going to be a lot of blue synergy for Mystic. I think also we have the very clearest idea of kind of what this hero already looks like because we already see stealth cards.
Right.
A lot of them have on hits that promote blocking, but then by blocking, they're getting banished, right? If we're doing stuff with contract, then we're getting silver off of that. If we're doing stuff with stealth, they can't block with any of their blues. So then they're blocking with their reds, which are then the big power cards they would be attacking us back with. Like, again, we feel good either way, regardless of what they're blocking with and we're banishing. So I don't feel like there's a lot of question marks around new.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we know, like, surgical extraction is going to be incredibly strong on this hero. I kind of like how contract still feels like something that new wants to play with.
For sure.
So you're not, like, every single assassin, you're not, like, completely locking them into one or the other, which kind of Azuri and Arachne felt like. New's kind of like, you kind of want both.
Yeah.
And I like that.
So initially when Arachne released in Outsiders, they also released with Solitary Confinement, which gave your first stealth card go again as a more aggressive leaning version. With new, I think they're going to be very attack action centric because I think they're still going to be locked behind this like weaker attack or action point economy. Like other than Black Tech Whisperers, I can't imagine based on their hero ability how often they're going to be attacking more than once. It's probably going to be a fusion of Arachne's mill strategy and Azuri's like really debilitating effects off of one singular attack.
Yeah. I really like where New's kind of going, but I'm very interested in seeing one, there's like a lot of snake imagery with her, especially in the trailer. So that makes you think like, oh, the disease tokens are coming back. And that makes a lot of sense. If they reprint a lot of the stealth cards, we're going to be getting Frailty, Inertia, and Blood Rot Pox back. And it's like, do all the tokens just come back?
I
think for her?
I think so, because the Frailty is notoriously good against like wider decks like Ninja or even Illusionist. Like if Enigma ends up being the hero that has a bunch of Spectral Shield tokens as an army, and Blood Rot Pox is good against Illusionist because it destroys wards, so they have to pay into it. And I think Inertia is just good for the decks that want to set up, and I feel like Illusionist and Ninja both fit that bill. So seeing the diseases come back makes sense. Like even if it's like
just for her,
and like for reprints of like the Spike with like Inertia, Frailty, and Blood Rot, all that stuff. Like I think she would probably need to play those and get better upgrades for those too, because Azuri hasn't really used any of those to great effect.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if one of the diseases came back. Throwing all three into a limited environment would probably be a lot. But like Frailty, just Frailty, I could totally see that happening.
Yeah. Okay. So I also want to put out a prediction here that I think they're going to reprint Malign. Damage cannot be prevented, baby. Yeah, you mentioned that with Vambrace, and I'm like, you know what? That would be sick to see in a limited environment.
All those effects are so interesting, and I love seeing that this is a set where they'll see more play. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then, like, a lot of other heroes are starting to run damage prevention effects. So, like, it just gets better the more that you put it into all these heroes.
Right.
So I love it. But I definitely think, like, Malign would be a sick reprint. Just a 0 for 3 that threatens to pop all of the shields, so it forces them to block.
Yep.
And if they block with a blue, then you get that blue.
Otherwise, how would an assassin break through an illusionist defense?
Yeah,
You know what
like,
I mean?
are you really burning your red attack reaction to, like, pop 3 of their spectral shields?
Yeah.
So do we want to move on to our yellow pitch?
Yeah, let's.
Joel, why don't you talk to us about this Mystic talent and what we can expect so far?
Sure. Well, I know about as much as y'all. We know that chi is going to be involved. Transcending is now going to be involved, but I don't really know how the two will interact with each other. We've seen a lot of different opinions on how each of these abilities would work. So I want to ask you guys to make a prediction on what you think chi would be.
Yes. Fuzzy, you want to go first?
I want to acknowledge the fact that because there's the discrepancy between recording and release, there's a very high chance that the audience already knows what
that
chi
would
is.
ruin this pitch.
Yep.
So just remember, guys, like, we are recording this on the day after we found out about those 3 Transcend cards, the chakra cards.
It is currently Monday, April 1st.
Yeah, we are not cutting it. If we find out later that it gets, spoiled what chi is, but
So go easy on us. Harken back to those days where chi was this mysterious mechanic. We had no idea. I think I've been really attached to this idea of like an offhand equipment that dictates how you interact with chi completely. That there are maybe some mystic cards that just kind of generate chi, but they're very rare, and most of the time the way that you get chi is through an offhand that's potentially even interchangeable throughout your playstyle. So there might be like 2 or 3, maybe even only 1 offhand to choose from, but Zen might be attracted to an offhand that generates a chi every time you hit with an attack, and you have to hit 3 times in order to generate enough chi in order to use his hero ability, which would feel a lot like Katsu, but Ninja's not really a stranger to that, right? If Ninja can go wide enough, maybe with enough crouching tigers that are each pinging for 1, then he can generate enough chi that way. So that's my first draft is chi is tied to equipment, especially offhands, and the way that you generate chi is different depending on the offhand that you pick.
I like that because I really like the flavor that would give each hero and each build, right? In Nu's art, we see Nu with a very classic Japanese style fan. With Zen, he doesn't really have an offhand, right? He has his big 2-handed glaive weapon that he kind of has going on, but he does have rosary beads, and there's a lot of other very classic monk accoutrement that could be an offhand, a sash, or some other artifact. With Enigma, I don't know what that would be. But it's illusionist. They can figure out something cool and flavorful.
I really like the idea of each option technically being available to every mystic hero,
Yeah.
If you want to play Enigma and make a bunch of spectral shields and create chi by going wide with spectral shields somehow, that feels like it'd be really cool to me, like an alternate playstyle based on whatever the default would be.
So I actually agree with you, Fuzzy, because one prediction that I had is that the mystic heroes will each share a chest plate that interacts with chi.
Okay.
And they'll have a common version where you destroy it and get a chi. And there's a legendary version where they're either through energy counters or a static effect. After you meet a certain requirement, you get chi. Similar to how the Draconic heroes both shared Flamescale Furnace.
Sure.
Because it enabled when you get a red, you get more resources that way because you're incentivized to play so many reds. I also think, conversely, that chi is similar to action points in that it'll be an invisible resource and that using it will just be pitching a mystic to activate your ability. Which I'm not going to argue about why I think that is. I just think it's it would be easier to implement it that way.
It's very simple.
And it's not necessarily balanced because there's I've heard you, Clark, say before that if there's no condition to be met other than pitching a blue, how does this not become the most broken ability in the game? Which I agree, but I just think that is where it's going to head because I haven't seen anything else that's going to really pull us in a different direction.
Yeah. For my prediction, I want to read you guys an excerpt from the Fab TCG article announcing Part the Mistveil.
I'm ready.
But discovery of one's inner chi is a journey that takes time. For some, a lifetime. Many journeys begin, and few complete. For those who journey deep within themselves and reach the crossroads of harmony between mind, body, and soul, transcendence awaits. I believe that transcendence is a state that you will enter, your character will become transcendent, all of those cards that care about you being transcendent will be turned on. And while transcendent, pitching any mystic card creates chi resources, which can be used as regular resources or as specific chi resources for hero abilities. But not every turn you can like start building towards transcendence, but you don't always finish it. It has like you need to do multiple things. Now, what do we do for this? So that's like kind of part one of my prediction. And I think I'm very, very spot on there.
And let me
But I'm non-specific. I'm so nondescript. I kind of don't want a point if that ends up being the case.
but let me like bounce it back to you.
Sure.
That like heroes can transcend, and they can only make chi when they are transcended.
Yes.
Okay.
And transcending takes time, specifically this harmony between mind, body, and soul. Now, what is the mind in Flesh and Blood?
Your deck.
Your hand size?
Your hand size is intellect. It's the brain, mind. What's the body?
Your health.
Your health?
Your health, sure. I think there's also like combat chain, arena, graveyard. All of those could kind of be considered like a body. And then we have a soul mechanic.
The soul.
I think everyone has very, very clearly latched. There's been a lot of conversation latching on about Mystic is about getting cards into Soul and then doing something there. I don't think it's going to be exactly the same as Light, where like it's a card that you put into Soul and then you take it out of Soul. Because I think that would be too similar to Light, and I don't think they want that. I think it's going to be that they want to check for a card with the same name in the 3 zones. They want to see a card in Soul. They want to see a card in like either the arena, graveyard, combat chain. And then once you pitch the card from hand, that is the harmony between the 3. It's the same card name in all 3 places. You get the harmony, you become transcended.
Ooh, okay. I like this idea for a couple reasons. You're saying that, like, in order to transcend, in order to have access to chi, and in order to have access to your hero ability at all, you have to have 3 cards with the same name in different zones. I think that would be a really good reason for Sealed to have so many boosters,
Yeah.
which we'll talk about a little bit later. But, like, that's the first thing I've heard where I'm like, okay, I can see Sealed needing lots of boosters where Draft only needing 3. Because you can just draft repetitive copies of the same card over and over again in Draft, but you don't have that control in Sealed. Other than that, I think it's really hard to do.
I think it depends on how hard it is to get cards in Soul.
Yeah.
Like, it could be like, instead of going to graveyard, this card goes to Soul. And then as long as you're like, I guess, maybe playing a card or like ended up in Banish Zone. I don't know. I'm still not 100% sure on like what exactly it looks like. I think I have a very strong conceptual idea, but I don't have a strong mechanical idea. Because I think it is clunky, right? This like 3 zone check is clunky.
Yeah.
And like if you're not spending the resource, because I also think Transcendent could be like you actually build like 1, 2, 3 chi. Once you've reached 3 chi, you're Transcendent, and then you can spend the 3 chi on your hero ability.
Yeah.
Like
There's a lot of ways you could do it.
there's a lot of, I think, fairly simple ways that you can do it. Like every time, like what if it was every time you pitch a blue Mystic card, you get 1 chi. When you've hit 3 chi, you're Transcendent. So you want to stay in the Transcendent state to get all these buffs on your cards that you're playing, and then you want to spend it to activate your hero ability, which then forces you to start over at the bottom and you don't get those pluses on your cards anymore. Like, I think that's a very clean mechanical design, but I don't see the harmony between mind, body, and soul in that.
Yeah.
It's just like, run Mystic blues, pitch a lot of blues every single turn. Oh my god, how difficult.
Yeah. I really like the different thought experiments that we could like come up with about both chi and transcendence. I think you've talked a lot about transcendence, so I'd like to move into the next point.
Agreed.
And since you've already spoken a bit about transcendence, Fuzzy,
Sure.
What do you think transcendence means and what the requirements could be, either based off of Clark's highlight of the article or whatever other reason? So
I sort of stole this idea, or rather I was convinced by it, by Reddit user AlertPiglet8350. You have no idea who we are, but I'm stealing your ideas from my podcast. He said that he thinks Transcended means that you have no cards in hand. And I think that makes a lot of sense to me. The first time you empty your hand on your turn, you have Transcended. Even if you draw up after that, when you cast your last card, it is Transcended. And when you're playing from Banish, like ninjas are, or like this illusionist could be, then it's easy to empty your hand and then still have cards coming in after. If the last card you play is that card that gets a bonus for transcending, then it would get that bonus from having an empty hand, right? I can see a lot of situations where it's like you might not get value for transcending across every card in your hand, but if it's the last one, you can easily have it. Or if you have one in arsenal and one in hand. And I think that's really easy mechanically to understand, but it also rewards that forward thinking. It's pretty elegant game design. I don't think it's very flashy, but that would be my prediction for what Transcend ends up being. You transcend when you empty your hand.
Yeah. I also love that because it's really flavorful, right? Like no earthly possessions. Meditation is very much about emptying your mind. Again, mind being intellect.
It's also something that you can do on your opponent's turn by full blocking, which is another sort of requirement we have for this mechanic. When the illusionist card, Transcend card that we've seen, Moon Chakra, it's a prevention effect that you're assumedly going to be doing on your opponent's turn. So you have to find a way to transcend on your opponent's turn in order to get full value out of that card. Unless you're playing against like Kano. But barring Kano.
Or Rhinar. Rhinar's intimidates.
They're not going to deal damage on your turn.
I guess your turn.
So you have to be able to transcend on your opponent's turn. In my mind, that's a requirement for any transcend mechanic. And emptying your hand is something you can do.
Yeah, so transcending, I'm kind of locking onto this idea of you've transcended this turn, and I can't imagine that you're going to, like, for instance, park any one of these like instances or reactions or like actions in your arsenal until you transcend if it isn't easy to do. So if we're going off of my other idea that chi is like once per turn, like every time you pitch a mystic card, similar to like, it's like a floating resource, like action point, like you always have access to it. And then once you activate your ability, you've transcended. Like I think it would be that simple. And then you can play like, because like the action is like before you play your Crouching Tiger for I don't even know what the card's called, but it's for Zen. Like he basically, if your next Crouching Tiger gets +3 or +5 if you transcended. So I think it would be like you pitch to your ability, you get a Crouching Tiger, you get your other card, you play that, get 5 value out of it, and that's transcend. Like it's pretty simple, but
using your hero ability.
Activating your ability with the Mystic card.
I hadn't even considered that. I love how we all came up with 3 very different ideas of what transcending looks like.
I will say I like both of you guys' idea. They're very complex and like very well thought out, but I think for gameplay wise, mine is like the simplest and like it makes the most sense to implement it. But it could also be too simplistic in that same way, I guess.
I'm not sure. I think that there's a lot of complexity to that. I also especially love how you connected Draconic having a legendary chess piece. And technically Light E also has a chess piece. I really want to look at Draconic and Light a lot when we're talking about the Mystic talent. Because where Draconic is the red matters and Light is the yellow matters, Mystic very much looks like blue matters. And so like we shouldn't be looking at Ice and Earth and Lightning. We should be looking at Draconic and Light for, I think, how this would format itself. And looking at a chess piece that would help make a chi to, like, maybe get yourself there a little bit faster or a little more regularly and get Transcendent more commonly. I think that's 100% something that they would print for Constructed that they would want to keep out of Limited. And putting that on a legendary chess piece makes a lot of sense. And then at the same time, making a common the one that lets you do it once but break it. Like, I just love how you connected that idea to this idea.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree that like a chess piece that works directly with chi sounds like totally a thing that LSS would do, and awesome design. If these Mystic classes have this new system, but they still are just jamming a lot of blues into their deck in order to generate a lot of resources, even if it's not regular resources, I feel like that could be a little bit of a missed opportunity.
So do you think, hey, I now want to ask if you can put a prediction out there, Fuzzy. Do you think that chi can be used to pay for normal resource cards? and it will be generated separately. Because I think what the case has been is that I have been terrified of chi being generated somewhere else and like resources being generated through other things other than pitching cards, because that kind of fundamentally breaks the game. And like we almost kind of see that with like Tome of Imperial Flame and Flamescale Furnace, how like you're able to like play it, draw 2 cards, then you pitch 2 cards, but that's fine because you made like 3 resources off of Flamescale Furnace. And it's like, oh, you just kind of got free resources out of nowhere and got a bunch of cards. In a very similar vein, it would be scary to see chi being able to be generated outside of pitching, but still being used to pay for cards and abilities.
That just seems like drawing a card every turn at that point. For free.
I doubt chi will be able to be used in place of resources.
Okay, so you think chi will not be able to pay for like anything with like a red resource cost?
Yeah, if like my card costs 1, I can't use 1 chi to pay for it. I have to pay 1 resource.
Right. So chi will only be able to pay for chi costs, and resources will only be able to pay for resource costs.
I think that would make sense for me.
Okay.
I
think that's a great prediction. Can I jump off of that and make a prediction?
Go for it.
I think that there will be cards that can only cost chi.
I was just about to say, I don't think there are going to be any cards that cost chi. Or that I don't know if we will see them. I'm kind of 50-50 on it. Like, it might just be that you can only pay chi into your hero ability and maybe your weapon.
Ooh, weapon. I like that.
All right, you two. I think that is a really good jumping off point for how Transcend and Chi will look like. And if we keep getting teased like over the next couple months, like I'm interested to see like which of these actually make it to a card or a mechanic.
I'm going to look so silly. I just know it.
So I want to move on to our last pitch. Fuzzy, what do you think it'll look like for Limited?
I have no idea, but there's a couple things I want to talk about. Joel, you and I were talking a little bit earlier before we started recording about how this is our first return to not just a set with talent cards in them, but also a triangle of 3 heroes. I know you've also talked about earlier in the pod about how maybe there will be more than these 3 heroes, but let's imagine that it's just these 3.
Yeah.
We have talented cards running around. It sort of feels a little bit like Tales of Aria or perhaps Uprising Draft, where there's like talented cards in the draft, non-talented cards. And those draft environments were, I think Tales of Aria actually, a lot of people liked that set, partly because it was a long time ago.
Yeah, drafting it was fun, but like maybe the power balance was a bit off. When I hear a lot of people complain about, they're like, this one hero was just too strong. And like that's what the complaint was. Not really like the way it was set up.
Yeah.
Uprising had a similar deal where it felt like Fi was significantly stronger than the other heroes. And so it was like you force Fi or you have a plan around Fi.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm super worried about that here, but there is a new innovation that LSS has experimented with multiple times since Uprising and Tales of Aria in the form of hybrid cards. Do you guys think we might see some hybrid cards in the set? Like Ninja Assassin is something that's actually already been done before, but perhaps Assassin Illusionist, perhaps Ninja Illusionist?
I would find it really hard to grasp how Illusionist plus anything would work. Obviously, Assassin Ninja like kind of works because they have like that stupid little dagger synergy that doesn't see play anywhere.
Or they could maybe do other things.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know, but it would be cool, like especially because they all work with the same new resource. Like, sure, probably.
I don't think so.
I think I agree, Clark. I would love to see hybrid cards. I think they're cool every time they show up, and they make my draft formats a lot easier. But the Mystic talent itself does serve as a bridge between all 3 in the draft environment. It's not like 3 completely separate heroes, which have non-overlapping card pools other than generic. Like, you have the Mystic talent. Although the Mystic is also basically a generic, right?
Yeah, I feel like having both Mystic and generic, I do think that there will be generic cards. And having Mystic and generic cards present in the set, I think there's going to be plenty of a shared card pool that we're not really going to be needing that hybrid cards. I also think that might get a little dull. Like, we just had a big set with a lot of hybrid cards. And then, like, we're returning to it again. I don't know. It might be cool to see one pop up, like maybe they just pop up and that could be fun. Like a Majestic that just happens to be hybrid.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Clark. It doesn't seem to me like LSS hasn't really copied and pasted any of the sets. Like if we go from, like, let's take a look backwards, right? It was heavy hitters, bright lights. What was before that?
Outsiders, I want to say.
That was the last like
Well,
big,
Dusk Till Dawn Outsiders.
like core set.
Yeah, I think it was Outsiders.
Yeah, so if we go from Outsiders hybrid and then Bright Lights, that wasn't really hybrid, but it was all one class,
Yeah,
and then
single
hybrids
class.
again. Like I can't imagine they'll do 3 or 2 in a row. It seems to me that they're always playing with something different. So if they're focusing on resource, I don't think they would like lean on hybrid cards to make their limited environment better. I think it would just be focused around chi and how to make that work in limited. So I don't think we'll see hybrid cards either.
Yeah. Again, it might be cool to like see just like how like Codexes were like a really cool splashy hybrid.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to see like maybe a shared Majestic here and there.
I think that would be dope. Yeah.
But I'm not quite sure it would be like a draft archetype or like a thing for draft.
Right, and that actually brings to me up to a prediction, because there's one card in Uprising that I really liked that did not see any play at all, not like barely even in limited, and that's Thaw. I think that there's going to be like a something they can use to attack each other with.
Okay.
but it's like the soul shadow dichotomy.
Oh yeah, like specific hate.
Yeah, like
so like
specific
maybe
hate cards.
maybe there will be cards that attack chi and like the ability to build chi.
Is that what you meant, Joel?
Well, not specifically chi, but a card that will be specific hate to each other because they're all like mystic. You know what I mean? Because like Thaw was like frozen or
Yeah,
unfreeze
it was-
something, destroy ally, or like or destroy affliction, and it's also a popper too. So there's gonna be like some dichotomous like 3-way card design there.
You know what, Fuzzy? I'm going to predict that there are going to be cards that are specific hate for chi building.
There you go.
Hate cards for the chi resource.
Because
Does
we
that
haven't
sound
even
good?
talked about like
Yep.
how mirror matches will be
Yeah.
like played out. So
Yeah.
I imagine that would be kind of cool to think about.
Well, oh my god, I can't believe we didn't even bring this up in Yellow Pitch, but like counterplay to chi, right? Like it probably has some counterplay. We didn't even touch on that.
Yeah, it has to, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, like, how are these not the best heroes in the game?
Yeah. Speaking of counterplay, one thing I want to bring up that I'm going to be looking for in the limited environment is poppers, because I think we can assume / predict that there's going to be Phantasm running around in a set because there's an illusionist.
Yep.
Would you agree with that, Clark?
You know what? I'm going to be like, hey, it's a long shot. Maybe not going to be a lot of Phantasm.
I'm going to put your name on that.
Sure.
Clark believes.
I think it's wrong.
Do you think no Phantasm?
I think that is what the prediction would be, right? Like there is no Phantasm for the illusionist.
What do you believe, Clark?
What I believe is that there's going to be Phantasm.
Okay. So no one's willing to put their name on no Phantasm in the set. So that brings in the question of like poppers. Assassin has already, we've seen a precedent for there being like 2-cost attacks in the form of Azuri in Outsiders Limited. She had lots of poppers available even in the generics in the set because they wanted a lot of 2-cost cards for Outsiders Limited. Monarch had a couple poppers running around, but they were pretty like skimpy, you know? Like they were not that common because they were supposed to be really like chase. They were really good to have in your draft.
It was also supposed to be like a benefit for Levia to be able to like specifically have an abundance of poppers because she was brute.
Right.
I don't think there was a lot of poppers in Uprising draft, but they were certainly there. Especially the cards like Flex, like you had to pay to make them poppers.
Brothers in Arms.
Yeah.
Phantom's Fighting Spirit.
Yeah. They
So-
were present.
I'm curious to see how many poppers are going to be in part the Mistveil in order to make the draft environment work, or how important they'll be.
Yeah. It's hard because we don't really imagine like Ninja running a lot of poppers. Like any 2-costed card is kind of a big deal for Ninja when you're trying to go as wide as you are.
For sure.
Yeah.
And like, yes, Assassin, we've seen a lot of the 2 for 6, but that's specifically because Azuri's like cheating them into play.
Right.
So it is going to be a little wonky. Like, how are they going to work poppers into these heroes?
I don't use this word lightly, but I would agree. I think it is going to be wonky.
I do think Ninja does have the counterplay against Illusionist that comes from them being able to push so much damage and threaten for them to lose all of their spectral shields.
So I do think that they could maybe really reduce the amount of Phantasm that Enigma runs and really focus on spectral shield generation and like defensive play.
You know, in Monarch, Prism had a set of like 7 of these heralds that really defined her play, and Dromai has her suite of dragons that really define how you attack offensively with Dromai. There's a lot of this set we haven't seen, and it could be that Enigma has a lot of her focus on creating spectral shields. Like maybe she'll just like have regular ass attacks where if it hits, it makes a spectral shield, and it gives her more access to these new weapons that are popping up. And it really depends how you make chi. That's like the biggest like question.
Like, she already has like access to the illusionist instances that create spectral shields, and she has access to like all the auras, like Shimmers of Sliver. And
Since you brought that up, I think they're going to reprint Prismatic Shield in this set. That's the rare that just is an instant that makes spectral shields.
That's a 3 cost make 3 spectral shields, I want to say.
At red, yeah.
At red, yeah. Oh god, that's so balanced. It's so bad defensively. It's so nice.
That's why you do it at the end of their turn.
Oh yes, I know, but even still, it's so nice, you know.
And they have other like Enigma Chimera and other attack actions that don't really matter, like Spears of Seriality. So they're still like they have access to
that one's also on my
Phantasm.
list of reprints. I think Spears of Seriality will get reprinted.
Notably, those past couple ones that you mentioned do have Phantasm.
Yes,
Right. So I'm saying she has access to like auras, instances that create spectral shields and attack actions that have Phantasm. So like it could go any way.
Do you guys want me to just list off a bunch more of my reprints, or should we like have a whole list of like 12 of them?
12 reprints?
You know what? As long as you allow us to give you decimal points for them, and if you get all 12 of them right, you get 1 full point.
Yeah.
Okay, here's my rapid fire. I think they're going to reprint a lot of the Crouching Tiger equipment from Round the Table. I don't think the mask is going to get reprinted, though. I think it's actually a little bit strong for limited. But I might be wrong on that. I could honestly see it being reprinted, too. I especially think the shoes, because they make a Crouching Tiger. It's called Pouncing Paws.
It's adorable.
Growl, I think, is going to get reprinted. It's just like this 1 for 3 that I think makes a Crouching Tiger. Pouncing Key, Prismatic Shield, Backstab. That's the
No D-Reacts.
The no D-React.
Stealth card.
Is it?
Yeah.
I think it is, yeah. Because we know there's going to be D-Reacts in this set. I think they're going to reprint Razor's Edge, which is the attack reaction that buffs stealth cards. I also like to think it'll be like alternate art though, where like
they're gonna theme it around. I think they've done that before too.
Yeah.
I don't think they've really done that actually. Like Bearfangs is the same Bearfangs art as before. Like Wild Ride is the same art as before. So when they reprint cards in sets, they typically keep the same art as before. But I like to think instead of having like Arachne coming down with a dagger, they have like new, looking like sexy and stuff. You know,
I'm into it.
girl bossing it up.
Yeah.
so to speak.
Real femme fataling it.
Yeah.
This goes contrary to what I was saying before, but I actually think a literal reprint of Iris of Reality is not too far-fetched. Like, literally just bring back Iris of Reality.
It doesn't have a weapon yet. Or it doesn't have a hero to attach itself to yet.
Really? Okay, so I'm really happy you mentioned signature weapons. I did not realize Iris doesn't have a, like, girl boss to call its queen. It says here, on play days, release weekend for Part the Mistveil will feature play day events, yada yada yada. It is recommended that the first 6 players who sign up to play receive a Playday promo, and that where possible, they receive the Rainbow Foil signature weapon for the hero they are playing. So we know that each one will have a signature weapon. So I think like if they brought back Kadachi's, it'd be really weird for Zen's signature weapon to be Kadachi's. So
Right.
that actually like leads me to believe that he won't have Kadachi's.
Thank God.
Please.
But I could see Iris coming back if Enigma has Iris now as her signature weapon, because now Iris is tied to a hero. In the same way they did Centauri Sabers with New Kasai.
Yep.
I'm putting my name on it. Iris of Reality will be Enigma's signature weapon.
Cool.
I think that's a neat prediction. I think it's actually not unlikely.
And also Barraging Braunhide. I think Barraging Braunhide will be in the set. It costs 3, So if this is a blue matter set where there's just a shit ton of blues running around, it's a really good, like, 3 for 7.
You know what? I think Wounded Bull is going to be in the set.
Oh, Wounded Bull.
The Wounded Bull finds treasure.
Both of those are
actually-
welcome to Wrath cards, too.
Hey, random prediction. Will Enigma have less life than 20?
We already know she won't.
Do we?
Yes.
Have we seen the numbers printed on the card?
Yes.
Oh.
You lose.
Good thought.
Clark's
experiment,
an idiot.
So if you go to the world premiere page for Part the Mistveil, and you go to the different like events that they're doing and the formats, they mention that for the sealed event that weekend, there will be 8 packs instead of 6 used for sealed.
Do they say that only at the world premiere?
That's where the info comes from. If you look at let's look at yes, and even in the pre-release thing, it says Part the Mistveil sealed deck is the format for this event. Please note it uses 8 booster packs per player. So even for pre-release, it'll be 8 booster packs per player.
That is very odd.
Why would they feel the need for you to have 8 booster packs instead of 6? I don't have any good ideas. The one thing okay, that's not true. I have half a good idea. I think if the offhand equipment that each of my heroes are using comes in boosters as opposed to as a token, you need to open a lot of packs in order to help make sure that you're getting one of those offhands. So maybe like if they appear in like once every 4 packs, LSS just wants to make sure you pull one because it would really suck not to have a way to generate chi.
I already put my 2 ideas out there. One was like the name thing, and so you need a lot of cards with the same name.
That does sound like a little compelling to me.
Yeah, Fuzzy did a great job of connecting it to this idea. That was not me. That was all Fuzzy. And then I had my other one of like reprinting a new hero, and they're giving them dedicated slots in the pack.
I like that idea a lot.
I think it's a very dumb idea.
No, I mean, they did it once.
They did in
not
a
in a draft
supplemental set.
I know it's not in a draft set, Fuzzy. I'm saying they do it for this draft set.
I know they've done it
It would be
once.
so weird though. Like, would it be another assassin that just isn't draftable?
Could be anything. Like this,
You think they released?
they could do
Necromancer?
whatever they want. It's their company. It's their set.
Clark, you and I are usually the big dreamers here. And I think we need to make sure we don't give Joel a hard time.
Yeah, God forbid I make a stupid ass comment for once.
We have to be nurturing.
You're the voice of reason. You ground us.
Oh my god. Can't have shit around here.
You're right, Joel. They can do whatever the fuck they want, and they have time and time again. So
Yeah.
nothing's really that far-fetched for LSS.
But we also need to remember that this is an 8-pack sealed with 3-pack draft.
yes, the number of packs in draft, assuming I think it's fair to say hasn't changed.
It might.
4-pack draft?
4-pack.
Hey yo.
Also, in sealed, you have to have 30 cards. You can't have any more than 30. Even though you have 8 boosters. That's a lot of cards you can't run.
I think that's actually really great. Like, if they're increasing the amount of packs that you're opening, I am definitely worried about it just being another fatigue fest.
Yep.
So, like,
Instead of
putting
new
that, like,
pile.
look, minimum 30, maximum 30. Get a 30-card deck, scrub. You want to know what else that means? Crack Bobble's back, baby! There's no way, like, they don't, like, put, like, the minimum and the maximum at the same card number and then, like, don't require Crack Bobbles in the pack. Like, Crack Bobble is going to be in this.
You think it's going to be hard to hit the minimum?
I think for some people, if they're bad at drafting.
Yeah, it's always in the pack, yeah. They've always had cracked bobbles.
No, there wasn't a Crack Bobble in the mech one.
First of all, Clark, you're right. The only mechanologist set did not need cracked bobbles. I stand corrected. Every other set other than that big exception has had cracked bobbles.
So this one's going to have Crack Bobble. Put it in the prediction. Give me my fucking point.
No, that's bullshit. That's on the ground fruit. That's not low hanging
Ground fruit.
It's fucking rotten. You're getting drunk off that fruit. Like a fucking elephant in the savannah.
Do you have anything else for us, Fuzzy?
Just that I'm really curious to see why they would need 8 boosters for sealed. Mm-hmm. There must be something really specific that you need a lot of boosters to find, right? And I'm really curious what that is.
Like, is that...
Why else would you raise the price of sealed and thus raise the barrier to entry?
Well, are they raising the price of sealed? Because ultimately we got 8 packs anyway. 2 of them were just guaranteed prize.
You're talking about pre-release.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Yeah, they are increasing the price of just generic sealed then.
If I want to play sealed with my friends, one box will only get me 3 sealed decks instead of 4. So maybe they're planning on me having fewer friends.
I can't wait for spoiler season, bro. I'm gonna lose my shit. I feel like
we are gonna be popping off.
I feel like more than heavy hitters.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm so excited.
The way that this set has created a mystery that we all just want to fill in the boxes, way more so than heavy hitters. Heavy hitters did not have a lot of mystery.
Nope.
They basically had 4 tokens and 2 mechanics, and every card just plays with those in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah, whoever was behind the campaign on this, they showed out for real.
And they literally just dropped Transcend, which is another puzzle. It doesn't answer anything. It just has more questions.
Yep.
That's the best kind of mystery novel. It's just God damn it. Another thing, I'm 2/3 of the way through this book. What are you doing?
All right, friends, we've been recording podcasts for a while. I think it's time for us to move on to our Arsenal Zone. What do you say?
On to the Arsenal Zone.
So, for our Pitchin predictions episodes, which we love doing and we hope that you love too, we like to change things up a little bit for our Arsenal Zone. Instead of shouting out just a card in the game's history, we're each going to make a prediction for a potential new expansion slot card.
So, jumping into our Arsenal Zone, let's pass it over to Joel first, who's going to be talking about, wait a minute, a card we already know.
Yeah, so they said that at the Q&A that there's going to be for sure a Vincent card. And I was like, what could they possibly... And I was thinking, what's the best card that Vincent could get right now that would push her to, a higher level of playability?
Demi-hero.
Yes. But I was thinking, because if you look at her art, because she is the Iron Maiden, and she has this, kick-ass suit of armor that's literally like a casket. So I think she's going to get a chest piece that is the casket. Because I don't think Carrying Husk is actually a good chest piece for her.
It's not.
One of our local players, Luke, that we bring everywhere. He's like my son at this point. But
he's just a little poor college student that we ferry around because he doesn't have a car.
Yeah, literally.
And he's really cool.
He is cool.
Yes, we do like you a lot, Luke.
I only ever see him use Tunic, and I've seen another player, Josh Myers, who's a very well experienced Runeblade player. They both play Tunic, at least in the matchup that they played against me. Because I actually don't think Carrying Husk is just a detriment, unlike it is for Leviathan, because she can turn off the ability of Blood Debt and Chain, who can end the turn or end the game before it even matters. You know what I mean? So I think it's gonna be her iron suit, and then I think if she meets a certain requirement, probably something to do with 13, it turns her into a demi hero of some sort.
Oh, a legendary equipment that becomes demi-hero. I like that.
Yep.
Now, that does mean that the ability to turn into a demi-hero is sitting on the field at all points in time, which is a little spooky. But maybe if they give it, temper, then, maybe a really good T-bone line or magnetic.
It could still be, a triggered ability.
Yeah, I just feel like Vincent players have to manage a lot more than the other two Shadow heroes, because you're -1 intelligence every turn, even more so than the way that we meme with Bolton. She is truly -1 intelligence. You have to give up a card before you do anything in your turn. So I feel like if they gave her some out in the late game where she's not just dead to blocking type thing, it would make her much more viable, and we'll see more play from her, because we already know that she is kind of an unsung hero in terms of answering Prism when Droma eventually leaves. And now with Enigma having more of these ward shenanigans, having this hero that can deal with that with its own drawbacks, adding a little bit of a boost to her kit just makes sense to me.
Okay.
So it can be a little push. I don't think it's going to warp the meta in any relevant way.
Yeah. And I kind of like that, because one of the things that I was saying what I wanted the Vincent card to do was to generate rune chants. And I wanted because I feel like her main issue in CC is consistency. She's fine in Blitz. She has plenty of power in Blitz.
Agreed.
But in CC, she needs consistency. And there are 2 points where that consistency falls apart. It's always having a rune gate card to attack with and having the rune chance to do that.
Yeah.
And like, I think they can fix one of those. And I think by printing something that makes more rune chance more reliably, it would do that while still forcing her to have to make sure that she's always keeping rune gate cards there.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Cool. Well, that was it for me. Clark, would you like to go next?
Sure. So when I looked at the expansion slot card, we know that like Betsy's probably going to get her log, Olympia's probably going to get like his extra gold payoff, specialization weapon, whatever it may be. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's the low-hanging fruit. I think like that's definitely going to happen. What might not happen? And so I thought back to the Q&A where they said, we're very, very happy that these heroes that we knew were going to be underpowered were still getting an RTN win, right? Vincent got an RTN win. Viserai happened to get 2 RTN wins. Let's go. Right, Betsy and Olympia each won 1 RTN. But Max only won 1 RTN. And Dash.io only won 1 RTN. I think they are not happy that those heroes did not make as much of an impact as they were intended to.
Oh, no.
So I think they are going to print a pushed mechanologist crank item.
Oh.
Specifically to be like, hey Max, get off pistol, get on Banksy. Crank an item and swing with Banksy. And like just a really nice, very strong crankable item that works very well with Max and Dash. Now, this does feel very bad to a lot of mechanologist players listening to me because Teklo did not win an RTN. And we know that like he needs a lot more support right now.
Last time we did Pitchin predictions, I predict that Teklovozin Evo with Arcane Barrier
Yeah,
did not happen
Yep.
yet.
it did not happen yet. And it definitely could. I think that is a very reliable, like it. I think as a safe prediction to make every single expansion slot.
Yeah, for real.
I'm tempted to, but I haven't yet.
Yeah, you don't want to be a broken record. But for me, I think they want to take a look at the other 2 heroes that were in that set. Because I think if they keep giving all this love to Teklovasin, like eventually he'll tip and then he'll be very strong in the meta.
Yes.
And I think it's actually easier for them to meter out a little bit more power towards Dash and Max and let them get more meta share. So I think they're going to print a card towards those heroes who they expected to be more powerful and just weren't.
And I think Tekkelvossen is going to be a lot better into a meta with just Prism and Enigma. I think Dromai was like his biggest gatekeeper.
Yeah. So I think they may even be waiting to see what happens with Dromai LL.
Yeah, for sure. Because like in my mind, there's probably very, very little, if any, data on like how he's performing in the meta at all. You know, except for like a local level.
Yeah. So that's my card.
I love that.
I could see it.
Fuzzy, what do you think?
I think it's about time Riptide got another trap.
Oh.
I'm really catering to our audience here as more and more of our
But he's
Discord.
gotten one every expansion
Well, sort of.
slot.
He has gotten support every expansion slot, but I think he needed a lot of tools in order to get forward. And the biggest tool that he needs is one more option for traps. They all trigger the same way, and maybe that's how LSS intends it. But I think having like one other condition for a trap running around would give him some more options for different matchups and potentially give him more space in the meta.
Like an ally trap?
Yes. An ally trap would go a long way towards rounding out some of Riptide's matchups. It certainly wouldn't solve them, but giving him one more tool certainly wouldn't
No,
hurt.
make it legendary.
So, Fuzzy, in your notes, you have HFGAT.
He finally gets a trap.
Hifgat. He finally gets a
If
trap.
you ever need to ransom me, apparently I'm not good at anagrams.
Hashtag Hifgat.
I wasn't trying for that to be readable. I just wanted to get something down to help me remember so I wouldn't
Got
forget.
it. Okay.
Riptide community, I want to see hashtag Hifgat all over the timeline.
He finally gets a trap. Maybe one that deals with allies.
Where else do you think the traps need to be triggering?
Arcane damage. Like, I know it's hard to design a defense reaction that procs on arcane damage, but
Well, then it'd just be like an instant.
Well, it'd be
Yeah.
a trap that does damage prevention rather than damage block.
maybe. And it would be an instant instead of a
and it'd
defense
still
reaction.
trigger, so it'd still deal a damage to the.
Oh
arcane
yeah,
damage.
because that would be hard. Like otherwise, it's like just for Rune Blade, not even for Wizard.
That'd be kind of cool if there was one for anti-rune blade specifically, like
Well,
arcane
like
damage.
a D react that deals with arcane damage would
Yeah.
only be ever relevant
Yeah.
against Rune Blade at the moment.
Yeah. So I don't think that's what I would want to see.
No.
But maybe even just some other trap that happens to be slightly better than some of the ones they've got going on.
Or maybe a trap that triggers on like dominate or overpower.
Oh, on evasion.
That'd be
Sure.
pretty cool.
Yeah. Though he does kind of get around that very well already. Mm-hmm. So, like, I'm not sure about, like, giving a trap that specifically triggers on that, but it's not...
I mean, he has to do a lot of gymnastics to do that.
Or one
And
that triggers on weapon attacks.
Oh,
weapons. That would help a lot into Guardian and the Warrior matchup, while
Yeah.
still leaving him the very clear weakness of Illusionist and
Well, it would be
Wizard.
pretty good
yeah.
against an illusionist that uses Iris of Reality, which
Oh, yes.
Oh,
we
yeah.
don't know if there's going to be one soon, but
Yeah.
I think it's kind of likely.
And one direct damage that would proc, it would destroy Ward, which we see them building the Illusionist around. Okay.
And it would like if they only have the one like aura, if it destroys that one, they lose go again. Their turn's over. So that's kind of cool.
So I'm basically regurgitating a lot of that from what Talon has been wishing for. That's basically my
Yeah.
best friend's wish list. But I hear you, Riptide players. You just need one or two more tools, one more expansion slot. This will be the one.
I feel like Tech Love Austin players are the exact same thing. They're like, yo, just one more Evo. Just one more Evo.
I think that's all I got. You guys have anything else you want to add?
I think that's it for me.
I'm gonna predict that Ninja's gonna have on hits.
They
Good
have
night,
all
Clark.
hits already.
Ground fruit, motherfucker. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks for listening.
Goodbye, everybody. Don't forget to check out next week's episode.
It's going to be a big one.
Pitch It To Me podcast is hosted by Joel Recinos, Clark Moore, and Fuzzy Delp. Our executive producer is Talon Stradley. Music is produced by Dillon Hulse. Logo is designed by Han V. And our sound mixing is done by Christopher Moore. Last but not least, thank you, the listener, for taking the time to listen to our podcast. Be sure to give us a follow on your favorite social media platform at Pitch It To Me podcast.